It is Baltic out here. Did you get it? It's Baltic watch and Baltic weather. I'll see myself out. Welcome back to Bark and Jack. I'm Adrian, and there is no way I'm standing on the side of this mountain doing this little. I can't. My mouth is. Oh, let's go indoors. Today we are checking out the Baltic Aquascaphe GMT. I first got hands-on with Baltic with the HMS2 a couple of years ago now, and it was quite easy to identify that this was a product built by someone who clearly had a passion for watches and understood what watch geeks like about vintage inspired watches. The Aquascaphe GMT is their latest offering, and it's simply a GMT version of their previous Aquascaphe vintage inspired dive watch. They were kind enough to lend me this watch. I've had it for about 2 or 3 weeks, probably longer than that. It's probably been a month now. But I like to spend my time with watches. Before I talk about my thoughts on the watch, let's quickly look at the specs of this thing so you can make your own decision on whether you think it's a decent offering or not. The case is 39mm wide. It's 47mm lug to lug. The lugs themselves are 20mm wide. It is 12mm tall. We have a screw down crown which gives it 100 meters of water resistance. We have a massive double domed sapphire crystal, and we have a bi-directional sapphire bezel. The movement inside is a Sapphire C125 GMT. It's automatic, has bi-directional winding and hacking seconds. The price is €1,105 on a strap or €1,200 on a beads of rice bracelet. When I first got this watch out of the box, it appeared to be very small. It's the same size as a Black Bay 58, but for some reason it just appeared small, and the watch sits quite tall. 12mm deep isn't all that deep for a dive watch. There are deeper, there are thinner, but there's certainly a sense of it being a very, very tall watch. And that's all down to this hugely domed sapphire crystal. The domed sapphire crystal distorts the dial, so much so that it magnifies the inner section of the dial, which then makes it pop out, stand out a bit more, and gives this feeling of there being a huge amount of depth between the sapphire crystal and the dial itself. Baltic has always been great with fonts. I love how the numerals around the 24-hour bezel are very characterful but also very clean. The big fat crown doesn't have any crown guards on it, and again I like that nod to the vintage style. I love the fact that the case has lug holes in it. Again, another styling point as a big nod back to vintage style divers. But there is a genuine purpose to lug holes. I change my straps constantly, and it's so much easier to change a strap when you just slide in your spring bar tool on the side rather than have to faff around at the back. See, you thought I was going to do the plug for my watch straps over at barkandjack.shop, but the straps are kick-ass straps, they're super high quality straps, and I want the plugs to be just as good as the straps themselves. And part of that is it not being predictable. I don't want it to be obvious when I'm going to do it. Anyway, I'm going to wait until the best point within the video so that the plug is organic. Maybe that was the best place to do it. Missed it. Whilst we're talking about bracelets, this bracelet really was surprising. The finishing of it is far better than what I would have expected for a £1,000 watch. Each bead of rice is nicely finished, and it feels solid as a very jangly style bracelet is. I guess the only downside to it, if there would be one, is this part of the clasp feels a bit thin and tinny compared to the rest of it, but it really is a brilliant little bracelet. Let's talk about the movement, because I think the movement is going to be quite a big talking point for the guys who like this watch. This is powered by a soap rod movement, and I was unfamiliar with this movement company, and it's really hard to find out information on it as well. This is a Sapphire C125 GMT. The most information that I could find on this movement was at Caliber Corner, a brilliant resource for movements if you like reading about movements. And these guys talk about this movement being very similar to the ETA 2893-2. I got reading on some old forum posts which were dated nearly 10 years ago of people arguing about what was better, Soap-Rod, ETA or Solita. And a lot of people were saying that Soap-Rod, although is lesser known than ETA, is actually more superior than ETA. However, I couldn't find some solid information backing up these claims, and so it's a bit of a tricky one. For micro brands, Soap-Rod is the better choice, simply because they do supply their movements in smaller quantities compared to Solita, and definitely compared to ETA. It's an automatic movement, it's got 48 joules, it beats at 28,800 vibrations an hour. It's got hacking seconds and bi-directional winding, and it has a GMT function, although this isn't a true GMT function so far as quick setting is on the 24-hour hand as opposed to on the local hand. For example, traditionally with a GMT watch, you would set the 24-hour hand, the GMT hand, to your home time zone. So if you're in the UK, you'd set it to UK time, and then when you fly out somewhere else, you'd set the normal hour hand to your local time zone. So proper GMT watches have a quick setting on the hour hand, so the hour hand will jump to the next hour or back again. It's a small detail, and at the end of the day, this watch does actually have a function to track 2 time zones, but if you do like your true GMT watches, it just might not operate how you want it to. So the pros on this watch, the styling is, for me, I think is brilliant. It looks really very good. For this price point, I think this is very well executed for a £1,000 watch. Usually I think it's hard to beat Seiko when it comes for bang for buck, but actually I'd say the build quality here, this is superior to a Seiko for the similar money. I love the loomed bezel, I love the holes in the case, and I love this beads of rice bracelet. The cons on this watch, the negative points, I'd say, just like with the Black Bay 58, the 39mm wide case isn't going to be for everyone. And then the other negative point is this double domed crystal. I actually think this is domed a bit too much. It really distorts, and just with the proportions of everything else, I feel like the doming of the crystal distorts the dial to the point that it doesn't sit in proportion with the rest of the case. I'd personally like there to be a more flat crystal, maybe with a slight dome, or maybe even just a completely flat crystal. It makes it very hard to photograph this watch, which that isn't the purpose of a watch, is to photograph it. But my biggest complaint about the domed crystal is how, because it distorts the edge of the dial, it then makes everything else feel a bit claustrophobic on the dial, if that makes sense at all. You've got the specs, you've got my thoughts, you've got the pictures. What are your thoughts on this watch? The Baltic Aquascaphe GMT. As a side note, I've moved all of the photography videos that I had on this channel over to a new channel. I'll leave a link down below for my new photography channel. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you like the style of this video, then hit the subscribe button down there and a little bell icon so you get notification when I drop a new video. If you want to check out the watch straps and watch accessories that I sell, jump over to barkandjack.shop. And if you're on Instagram, give me a follow at barkandjack. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.